Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're watching the BBLTV Money Show. My name is Stephen Wicks. I'm your host, and I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Mr. Ron Garnett. Mr. Garnett, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine today. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Well, we're here for another live stream, the
Yes.
Money Show. And of course, guys, we put this together primarily for our members of BlackBusinessList.com, but for the general business community as well, as we broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. So if you have any questions about business funding, about business in general, we have Mr. Ron Garnett here, who is a mentor, business consultant, and he can actually help you primarily get funding, but also if you have any other issues, we can bring it up and we can discuss that as well. So we have a breadth of knowledge and wisdom here on the show. So tell us a little bit, Mr. Ron, this week. Have you come across anything? I like to ask you this because you're out there in the marketplace and you're talking to entrepreneurs and
hmm
you have people that are trying to get funding. Have you come across anything kind of interesting that you think might be a good tip for those out there looking for money this week?
Um, Nothing we haven't really discussed, but what I will say that I have run across some clients who wanted to start a business and expand the business, going to different avenues. And I talked to them, and and I told them my advice to them was one of them was to wait, and one of them was not to wait.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Is that in looking for funding, it's always vital to have a source of income,
Hmm.
whether you're self-employed, 1099 consultant, or a W-2 employee. Now, I am not a conspiracy person, but I do think that you should look at uh, the world around you. And
Hmm.
a lot of people are being hurt in the economy with the COVID-19 and things such as that. And things are contracting a little. I think a lot more than we're being led to, what we're being told. And I had a client who came in and we were discussing her employment situation. And I told her you need to apply for a job, work for your business now, and go out and start your business at least at a part-time basis, because the way the economy is going, when you're talking about your job, real possibly might get laid off in
Okay.
in 2 or 3, maybe by the first of the year, maybe before then. And when someone lays you off, they lay you off. I mean, you come in one day, you don't have a job the next day.
Hmm.
I mean, you don't necessarily have a great length of time to transition to whatever. And if you are getting unemployment benefits, no one's going to fund you if your primary source of income is, unemployment benefits, because they're temporary. You don't know what they're going to do. You need to have a paycheck coming in, and and I and she and this client listened to my advice and went ahead and applied. I also got a call today from another client who I said need to apply for the loan, and they got laid off a couple of days ago.
Mm.
So we can't apply for any money because to get another job. Now, what I
Hmm.
can do is take the W-2 from last year when they were working for this year, but I need at least about 3 or 4 months of paychecks to verify an income, see if that income is sustain enough. So
Hmm.
what I'm saying is job security, I don't think it's what it was pre-COVID. I think especially if you're in some types of industries. And if you have an idea, if you say I want to go out on my own, if I want to have some protection for myself, if you have a job and you can verify income with a W-2, this is the best time to apply, get your money, and don't quit your job. Use that money to start small and grow. But don't wait until the time is right, because the time may never be right. I mean, if you think got a good business idea, everybody has a good business idea. Very few people actually follow through on it. I mean, Stephen Wicks was not the first person to say, we'll start a Black business list. There probably been 10,000 people been talking about doing a Black business list. But that's only one Black business list as far as I know. I mean, people had the idea before you did, but they didn't act on it. So let's understand something that, and I've said this before, as Black entrepreneurs, as Black people, no one's coming to our rescue. No one's going to help us but us. And what we need to understand is the environment we live in. I was in a courtroom many years ago, and the judge asked the jury panel, is there anybody who needs to be excused from jury service? And about 3 white men, as a matter of fact, raised their hands. Then they said, well, why do you need to be excused from jury service? And they all had the same answer. We're small, independent business owners, and we need to be running our business. And the judge said, no, I'm not letting you go. The small, independent business owner is the backbone of the economy. The small, independent business owner is the very people we need to be making decisions on important issues. We live in an environment where the small, independent business owner is the backbone of the economy.
Yes.
So it needs, if it's the backbone of the U.S. economy in general, it needs to be the backbone of our Black economy.
That's right.
You and I were talking last week. I think you said that $1 trillion is generated by Black people in this country every year, and less than 2%, or around 2%, is spent on Black businesses. I don't think it's that much, but but given that, now just think, if somebody were giving you $1 trillion and don't have to do anything to get that money, you just give them just give $1 trillion with no effort on anyone else's part, would you change the system? Would you do anything different? No.
There's no need to.
There's no need to. So, on the other hand, if Black business owners were getting $1 trillion in there, and it was circulating in our community, we would have a voice, a much bigger voice. Nobody would stand up and say, no, we don't need to have police reform. Nobody is going to say, we got $1 trillion people out here, we're going to mess with their voting rights. I mean, we are supporting people who giving them money, who you put in their pocket, they turn around and use it to hurt you. So until we determine that we are going to work with each other, we're going to spend our money with people who look like us. We're always going to be behind the 8 ball. I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here, but we as a people, as a business community, as a whatever community, we can't be looking in a situation where anything that relates to our well-being is dependent on a government or a political party.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when you said we have to make sure that we're spending money with each other, that was the whole, you know, purpose and genesis behind the business directory and for Black folks to be able to find each other online. Because it started this back in 1997. Actually, I found a copy of BlackBusinessList.com from 2000, from the year 2000, and so that was 21 years ago. And so that if anybody wants to check the receipts to see how long we've been around, there's a copy of it online that you can find. But you know, 300. This article here is from McKinsey. I think they're a consulting company, research, and they say that a $300 billion opportunity serving the emerging Black American consumer. And here's what I think is what's going to happen. It's starting to happen now. You start to see these commercials where major corporations are starting these initiatives to support Black-owned businesses, right?
Right.
And, you know, so it's a part of the conversation in the culture now. But what's going to happen is basically what happened with BET, where, you know, we're not going to have ownership, but they're going to be targeting us and they're going to be making income off of our culture. And so we still need to have this big focus, not on just, hey, they're finally paying attention to us. That's fine, that's cool. However, ownership is very important. You don't want them just to be capitalizing off of you. You want to be sitting, you want a seat at the table. You want to make sure that you have ownership. And so that means you have to have access to capital. This is one of the reasons why we do the money show, because your financial, even your personal financial situation is a direct bearing on your ability to run a successful business. So all around the board, your financial life needs to be in order. And so this is why we have Mr. Ron and other people associated with the financial industry to come on, so that we can kind of get our ducks in a row and make sure that we have the best chance of success.
That is true. And I applaud the initiatives of the larger companies about the Black consumer, but we need to be consumers of our own businesses first. Anytime a Black market is discovered, we have a tendency to let it get away from us. At one time, you had many Black hair care businesses independently operating throughout the country. How many of them are left now that are Black? I mean, they might have a Black face on it, but are they Black owned? I don't know. I mean, that'd be an interesting study. I mean, of these hair care, of all the Black hair care products that are out there, how many are Black owned now? I mean, some of the big ones have just gone under or whatever. So, I mean, if you have a large company that wants to do business with you, you still should be a Black-owned company selling to a larger company. Don't
Yes.
get co-opted by that company, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's still money going out of our community. I mean, I think that you brought to my attention is that when money goes into the Black community, it stays there for about 6-7 hours
Yes.
before it goes out.
Right
And in
back out again.
other communities, it stays there weeks,
Mm-hmm.
months. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember that I think I told you this, the Black Wall Street in Tulsa. I mean, it was so successful because when money came in, it never left. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that money was turned over, I think, for 20 years. I mean, I mean, I mean, once, once it went in there, it never left. I mean, it stayed there for 20 years, which is why it got burned down because they created an independent source of wealth. This is an economic country, okay? This is a country based on economics. And we have the opportunity, responsibility, if we're going to take care of ourselves, to look at what is successful. We have to build a strong class of independent businesses that are serving our community and that will support each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, uh, money, independent money, where you can get cut off from money, cures a lot of ills, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It cures a lot of ills, all right? So certain things you don't have to worry about if you have an independent source of money. If you are a Black business owner and you're supported by the Black community, your customers who give you money are Black, who are going to support you. You can go to a city council meeting, to a mayor's office, to a congressman's office and say, this is not right. We're not standing for this. And they
Mm-hmm.
can't cut your money off and say, well, okay, you fired.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to support you. They say, well, you don't pay me anyway. So you have more independence. You can speak out in your own community.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say this, but a lot of us, Black people, I'm on soapbox today, got hurt with integration because we thought it was integration meant we were there able to go out to spend that money with a white business, that we were somehow more, entitled or more, lifted up. But spending your money with somebody who doesn't care about you, what is the benefit? You get that product. You are a consumer. We're talking about building wealth because if you that $300 billion you were talking about, what good does that do to give to somebody who sits on, in Donald Trump's circle at, at, with Malargo? I mean, what good does it do you to be supporting them when they're sitting around taking your money to plot against you?
All right. Yeah.
So,
And I think that, what we need to understand, and when I say we, I'm talking about those of us who started businesses and we weren't experts.
yeah,
We were just people who had skills or ambition, and we said, "Hey, I'm going to start a business." There are many things that we just didn't know. We didn't know the game. You know, um, John Hope Bryant talks about that. When you know the rules of the game, then you can play the game.
right.
But if you don't know the rules of the game, you can just be out there, and the other person you're playing against really don't have to do much, because they're just going to sit there and watch you break the rules. You might have ran all the way down the court or all the way down the field and did exactly what you're supposed to do and thought you scored, and then you broke some rule and they don't count.
Right.
So they didn't have to chase you or nothing. They just sit there and watch you mess up,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so that's what's happening with us a lot of times. We just don't know what we don't know. And, I think that when I look at what happened with me when I went to the score office, when I was a young man in my 20s, I didn't know the game. And so nobody helped me. They didn't say, well, here are the rules. Let me help you out. I see you want to play the game. Let me help you out a little bit. Here's what you need to do. They just said, oh, no, you don't have what, you need. And just
Now,
kind of sat there and and so I felt dejected. I felt like, well, I'm never going to really be able to make it legitimately. And the legitimate, not want to say legitimately, but the traditional way of getting funding and starting a business and doing things that way, I didn't feel like that was my lane, because no one really explained the rules. And so I bring that up because I'm looking at this website, and here is an organization who is helping millennials invest in Black-owned businesses. So we have a lot of initiatives out there like this, where you have African Americans with means who are willing to invest. But if you don't know how to set your business up properly so that it is investable, then you're not going to get access to this money, even though it's there, right?
that's true. I mean, and to to piggyback on what you're saying is that you have to know what to do with the money. I mean, just giving someone money does not mean success. I mean, how many people win the lottery are broke in 4 or 5 years because they don't know how to manage the money? Same thing in business. You could have a business and you're gonna make mistakes. I mean, that's just given. But if you plan out, your mistakes are minimized. Now, as a SCORE mentor, I would tell you that whatever happened to you with SCORE is diametrically opposed to the SCORE mandate. You are never supposed to tell somebody your business won't work. You're supposed to listen, mentor them, and give them resources to help themselves. And I don't know what SCORE chapter you went to, but you just don't walk off the street and go into SCORE and say, I want to mentor people. You have to go through training and pass certain tests. And every year you have to get certified again. And
Okay.
I just went through mine in August. We had to go through, you're supposed to listen, give advice, you don't disparage anybody, you don't discourage anybody. I mean, and so you're supposed to encourage people.
They
And
might have made those rules after me.
maybe after you, probably a lot of rules are made because of abuse.
Right.
Because of abuse. But
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that there is a pathway to getting your business off the ground. The pathway is, one, you got a plan. You got to do a business. You got to have some way. You just don't walk in off the street and say, I want to start a business.
Right.
I have, in a lot of cases, discouraged people from starting a business, saying that you're not ready. Or have you thought this through? And I don't, not as a member of SCORE, but when it comes in to ask for money, I would say, you got to have a plan for this. You got to think about this, and this. These are just the fundamentals. And people have told me this. It's too hard. I don't want to think about all that stuff. I said, well, it's not as hard as running a business. So I don't want to give people money to fail.
Yes.
So when I'm talking to somebody, I'll at least try and ask them, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the money? Do you have a plan for it? What's your business about? A number of people will have a business and cannot explain to you how that business is going to work. No, seriously, I have dealt with people. I set LLCs up for people, and I said, well, what is your business? And they cannot articulate what their business is and how they're going to make money off of it.
Wow.
That is not something you need to borrow money for unless it shouldn't take you more than 5 or 10 seconds to tell you if it takes you more than 5 or 10 seconds to say what your business is, you don't have a good business idea.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Coherent business idea. What I'm hoping to do in this show and dealing with this with you is, one, let people know there's a lifeline out there. Let people know that you don't have to go through maybe what you and I went through. I mean, it's very discouraging to go sit up in an office with somebody who knows they're not going to give you a loan. When you really need the money, and you walk in there and they look at you and they're not going to give you the money. You know that when they keep you waiting 35, 40 minutes before you can see them, and they're sitting in there chatting on the phone or just sitting there looking at something, and you can look at them and see they're not going to. In fact, the last time I went to the bank, I got up and left because I said, wait, I've been here 45 minutes, 50 minutes. If this person's going to help me, they would at least give me the courtesy of talking to me. So I just got up and left because I said, well, this just not going to, this just not going to work. Yeah. And I know that feeling where you said maybe like 35% of all minority business owners feel there's no use even applying. I've been there. I was one of those 35% where I said, well, I know that I'm not even asked for this. I'm too discouraged to ask for this. And it's discouraging to me to have people, especially Black people, on video or TV or whatever, saying that they got funding for their business because they knew somebody who took them into a bank. There are millions of Black people who want to start a business, maybe a million, maybe more. Huh. Everybody not going to know somebody. We need to have a avenue where we'll say, hey, if you meet minimal requirements that will get you kicked out of a bank, not escorted out, kicked out of a bank, not escorted out gently, but kicked out of a bank, we can get you some money, enough money to get you started over the hump. So if it was me, I'd be happy. Say, well, that's an avenue for me. I'm not asking for favors or hookup. All I want to know is, what do I have to do to get the money I need? How do I work on myself to get in a situation where I can get to where I want to be in my business life? Where do I want to be financially to move forward? Because it is I don't know what's going to happen in the economy. People think they know projections, but I do know that Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas, New Year's, a lot of unvaccinated people out there.
Mm.
What happened last year? We had this huge surge,
The spike, yeah.
spike in COVID, and we have and what happens if we get shut down again?
Mm.
I mean, do you have enough money to get you through that point where you don't have anybody coming in? Do you have enough money to get to those rough patches?
Well, to that end, um, quite frankly, I think it's about how much you got coming in versus how much you got going out. And there are these principles that Black folks need to start practicing so that we can survive whatever happens. Give us the best chance of survival for whatever happens in the economy. For example, rich folk are rich.
Right.
They're rich in a bad economy. They're rich in a good economy. They just rich.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, they might not be as rich, but they got what they need, right? So it's like Black folks, though, when like what you said before about when they get um, a cold, we get the
Pneumonia.
flu or
Pneumonia.
worse, pneumonia. So we've got to be very careful about how we look at money, and our relationship with money has to evolve, and it has to be we have to learn certain principles that many of us do know, but it doesn't trickle down to the 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 um the communities that really need it in the Black community, those neighborhoods, those zip codes that really need education, etc. So we are starting an initiative where we can help people earn extra money, and really, that's not been a focus of BlackBusinessList.com. However, I've come to understand that multiple streams of income is a good thing. When you look at the Shark Tank, those folks are rich, but they're always looking for new opportunities. They want their money to work for them. They want their money to grow. They're looking for the next opportunity. So, as Black folks, that's not a bad trait to have. Yes, you may have a job, or yes, you may have a business, but think about additional revenue streams. How can I make more money? Because, as you said, when things are kind of up in the air, we don't know what's going to happen. You want to give yourself the best chance of survival. So an additional stream of income, credit education, you know, uh, budgeting, you know, Susie Norman, was it Norman?
Orman, I think.
Orman, excuse me.
Yeah.
Susie Orman makes a living by telling people no. They call her show. They're like, "Hey, here's my situation. I've got this much in savings. I've got this much in my retirement fund, and I want to go on vacation. And can I go?" And she asked them a couple of questions, and she's like, "Nah, you can't go." And she's like,
Well,
you can't go because of and she gives the criteria for how she made her decision.
yeah.
Black folks don't have the benefit of having a Susie Orman. So we just say, hey, here's a little extra money I see. So I'm going to go on vacation. Or here's a little extra credit I might be able to get. I got a little bit on my credit card. So I'm going to charge my trip to Belize. And I'm going to go ball out on vacation. And you put yourself in debt. And then something happens with your job, or something happens with a family member. Maybe one of your family members didn't have an insurance policy, and
Mhm.
now the family got to come together and try to help bury this person. Or Ray gets put in jail, and now he needs bail. Or there's like somebody gets sick. There's things that pop up. So you have to really understand: can I get that car? Should I get the Mercedes, or should I get the Hyundai?
Right.
How much is the Mercedes going to be to maintain it properly versus this other car?
I know. I
You know,
know.
how can I pay? You know, so we have to, those principles have to be applied. It's not good enough just to have a good business idea. You have to have all these things that need to come together
Right.
to give you the best chance of survival. And so for BlackBusinessList.com, if you're that person out there who don't have the rich uncle or the person who can grab you by the hand and guide you and help you grow your business, this is for you. This organization is for you. Contact us. Don't just sit and be a bump on the log. When you watch this video, comment on it. Hey, Steve. Hey, Ron. I think you're great. Hey, Steve. Hey, Ron. I think you suck. Whatever. Don't be a bump on the log. Just go ahead and comment and get engaged. We have to have more people who are engaged in our society, and we have to have more people specifically who are engaged in BBL and BlackBusinessList.com. Don't just sit there. You know, Mr. Ron, no, I'll fire you. I'll kick you out. If as a matter of fact, I might look at this list. I might put something out and say, if you don't join our Facebook or like something or do engage in some way, I'll just kick you out the list. I mean, because nothing can happen by people just sitting still. You have to get engaged. And if you're part of this organization that can help you, you know, think about, you know, it's so almost 2,000 people in this organization. Think about if they were engaged and you put out, like you've done, a master class on credit. And if these folks was engaged and they're like, you know what, I might not be able to go to the class, but I'm gonna share this link, or I'm gonna tell my cousin they need this, they need to go to this class. How powerful would that be if people were just engaged? And so we're putting ourselves out there every week. We're trying to think of new ways to serve you. So I'm making a plea to the people who come across this content and who engage with BBL, please start participating. Start participating because you get what you give.
Well, well,
It's
that's true.
reciprocity.
That's true. And I want to say something. When I started doing this show with Stephen, I went to a funding company and said, "Well, I'm doing this show. I want people to be able to actually apply for funding directly from this show."
Mm-hmm.
We created this Black Business List link where you can apply. This didn't exist before, you know what, a few months ago.
Yes.
We created this. Now, we're talking about one type of funding, unsecured funding, which means that you can get this money without having to tie up your house, your car, your furniture, any kind of property you own, 401k, savings account, bonds, stocks. You get this money based on your signature and promising to pay it back within a certain allotted time. That's the requirement. I mean, it's high risk funding for a bank
Mm-hmm.
because once the money is given to you and once you pay your fees associated with getting it, nobody is looking at what you're going to do with the money. Once you get it, you pay your fees, then you are supposed to pay it back starting 30 days, making payments. You could take the money and hop on a jet and fly to Brazil and say, gee, I want to go to Carnival. No one's going to stop you. That's a bad use of the money, but it's your decision. As the Black Business List, as owners, of people who want us to be in business, we have an opportunity that's given to everybody to get money without having to hock yourself or pinch yourself into a corner. I have been in situations where I've talked to people and say, well, I'm going to do it with credit cards.
Hmm.
I'm going to fund this project with credit cards. They have spent all of their credit limit, but the project doesn't get finished. Then they come to me and say, well, can I get some money? I said, no, you are maxed out on your cards.
Hmm.
I mean, we're not Santa Claus. There are certain requirements. You can't be over 50% usage on your credit card, below 50% usage on your credit cards, because these credit cards are high interest. You're paying 19, 20, 25% on these credit cards. If you in that much debt, nobody is going to give you a high risk loan. If somebody comes to you who is, I'm desperate, I'm in debt, I got my credit cards are maxed out, I need you to loan me $10,000 to keep my head above water. That's not a good candidate. That's not a good candidate. As I tell my clients, I said, the banks think just like you.
Right.
If your buddy is a bad risk, if you're a bad risk, you're a bad risk to them too.
Yeah.
So, but if you are in this situation where you were saying, well, I've been to the bank, they didn't care about me. No, they don't care about you. No, they are not going to break their back to set you up. But there is an avenue right there on the screen where you can see how much money you qualify for in 10 minutes or less with a minimal amount of applications. The application, you got to upload some stuff, but people have done it in an hour or less. And if you qualify, you get the money in 10 to 15 days in your account.
Well, here's where I am, Mr. Ron. I'm gonna be honest with you. Where I am right now is sometimes you gotta, you know, Prince, the artist Prince,
Yes,
musician.
right.
If you notice his career, he started out, he was Prince.
Yeah,
Then he had Prince and the Revolution,
right.
and then after a while, he dropped all of the members of the Revolution,
Yes.
even Wendy. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was his favorite one because he
Yeah.
was dating. Wendy was a twin, and so he dated her. He dated her sister, Susanna,
Okay.
and Susanna was in this group called the Family. So I
Okay.
don't know if people knew that. Wendy and Lisa, but Wendy had a twin sister,
Oh,
and so he was dating a twin sister at one point. So I think he Wendy was one of his favorites because
right.
he kept her along a little longer after the other members of the revolution went away.
Okay.
So then he had the MPG, the New Power Generation. Then he had another band. So the thing is, Prince said, "When I'm moving forward, I'm moving forward. Some of these people got to go."
Yeah.
And so when I'm looking at my black business list, I don't really care about numbers. I care about doers. This group is not about just sitting there. This is about moving forward. So if I got to start from scratch, if I got to go out there in the street and find people who are motivated and who are willing to give of themselves and who want to grow as a group and move together as a group, that's what I'll do. I've done it before. The people that are in the list now are not the people that were there in the year 2000, right? It's a whole new list because black folks start a business and then they quit. They'll start something, they won't follow through, they'll run out of money, they'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna do something." So it happens. So my thing is though, in 2021, we've got too much in front of us, too much opportunity. You're sitting here, you have an option for people to get thousands of, black folks keep talking about they don't have money. They're begging people for money all over the place. Hey, can you fund me? Can I get a grant? Can I do this? And you're telling people all you got to do is go down to McDonald's, get a job at McDonald's, get a paycheck, do that for some 6 months so you should show some income, work on your debt, and I can get you thousands of dollars. You can start a franchise, you can buy some equipment. If you want to do lawn care, you can buy a little small truck or a trailer. If you got a truck, get some equipment. So, we've got too much opportunity and too much to do. My patience is, y'all hear it in my voice. My patience is getting a little too thin for people who are just sitting there. If you good and you're comfortable and you're rocking and rolling and you got the PPP and you going on trips and you good and you don't want to help this organization grow, go join Black Enterprise. This is not Black Enterprise. This is for Black folks who care about other Black folks and who want to help push this conversation forward. Too many bump on the logs, dead weight. And I'm not interested in just numbers. I'm interested in doers.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to be a part of that, then BBL is where you need to be. If not, keep it pushing because you're of no use to us. You're just
Okay.
a drone. You're just sitting there,
All right.
not doing anything.
Oh, okay. I understand. And, and I think I've told you this, that I get frustrated sometimes with Black people who get in groups. And the only thing they want to do is brag how much money they made and just leave behind somebody who says, I'm just starting out. No, I don't have $1 million in contracts with somebody. I mean, I'm lucky to get $20,000 or $50,000. That would get me in a real good position. We got it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to try to tell tales out of school, but I've had conversations. Steve and I've had conversations, and I've had conversations with my funding company telling me, you were too interested in trying to help people. I said, what do you mean by that? Well, you got people who just need $10,000, $5,000, got credit scores of 560, 580. You're trying to get them funded because it's just as much effort for me to get somebody $20,000 as $200,000, and I try to do that. So my funder said, you need to find some more people who need $200,000 rather than $20,000 because that makes more money for us and you too. I said, okay, I'll look at that, but I'm still not going to abandon these people who are starting out, who do have a 600 credit score, a 580 credit score. I'm just not going to say, well, I'm not interested in you, because it's happened where you ever work with somebody who thinks I say, well, you don't make enough money for me to bother with you. Mm-hmm. That's not me. I mean, that's happened to me where some people say, well, you're not my client, you're not my kind of clientele. I mean, I need somebody making $300,000 or $400,000 a year, $100,000 who can invest what I need them to make, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But we're not doing that here. We're saying if you got money, we can get you more. We're not saying don't want to disqualify people. We're not making anybody feel unwelcome. That you have a place where no matter what your situation is, we will work to get you the money you need. Whether it's $10,000, $100,000, $200,000, we'll go ahead and do it for you. Because I personally have had that chill where somebody thinks you beneath them, especially in the banking community, and where they don't want to help you. I mean, as I said, if somebody's getting $1 trillion from you for nothing, why would they want to help you? That's going to diminish that $1 trillion that you put in their pocket every day, every year. You're not.
Well, I'm gonna end on this for my part.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with saying, in order for me to be successful, I need to target a specific demographic.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm going to make my money. So I need to put my focus there. The problem is when that is your only focus, like you
Yeah.
said. That's the problem. When I go to Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A is targeting the higher end of the fast food market. But when Ray Ray walks into Chick-fil-A, he gets treated the same way a CEO of a company gets treated.
Mhm.
Built into the culture of Chick-fil-A, everybody, no matter who you are, gets a my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. My pleasure. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. That gets that's built into the culture. So what we're talking about is people who the problem is when you're a black business owner and you say, well, I'm only targeting folks with money, or I'm only going to associate myself with people who are at a certain level. Th- that has happened since the plantation. We've always had some uppity Negro who was good with the folks in the big house, and they've always had those types who, even though there was Jim Crow and all that stuff, they had Cadillac, whatever the equivalent of a Cadillac, the fanciest Model T or
Uh-huh.
whatever, and they lived a nice lifestyle compared to the other African Americans. That's always been. So where has that gotten us? That's gotten us into the year 2021 when there's still this huge uh, gap, wealth gap within the ethnicities and also in Black America. And there's still going to be that upper class, upper crust of the Black community, and they're still not helping the rest of us rise up. So I'm saying, if that is your mentality, if you think that if it's not worth your time to respond to emails or to respond to LinkedIn requests or to respond to a invitation to do a webinar or something like that, because you only want, well, I charge $30,000 when I give a speech, or I only do large conferences, or if that's your attitude, get out of here. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I
I've
don't
never
want
heard
you.
that before. Really,
I
but
don't. I don't need you. I really don't. But you go, like I said, black and price. There you go. That's your tribe. Those your peoples, corporate people, rich people. Hey, you can stay in that circle. Atlanta is full of those folks. They have nice parties. They have white parties. They get dressed up. They look nice. They go out. They do the thing. And think about this. And I'm sorry. I'm on a rant. But think about this. The black HBCUs in the Atlanta, Georgia city of Atlanta, the AU Center, Morehouse, Spelman, um, now Morris Brown coming back,
yeah.
Clark Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
You think about those colleges, and you think about that. I used to work in that neighborhood right there
Mhm.
where those colleges are, the west,
West
part of
End.
Atlanta, West
Yeah.
End, that little area there.
Yeah.
And you tell me, all of those successful people that come out of those schools, why does that area look the way it looks? Why does that area still look like that? All those educated, successful people. Bill Cosby's giving millions of dollars to Morehouse and Spelman and all of these, now the new black billionaire. He paid for everybody's college at Morehouse. I think he
Right.
paid off everybody's bills,
Student debt. Yeah.
student
Robert.
debt.
Yeah. Robert Smith.
Robert Smith.
Hmm.
Why does that neighborhood look the way it looks? So don't come. You know, if you're successful and you good and you go on vacations and that's fine. There's people out there just like you. BBL is not that group. We don't want you here. We don't need you
Okay.
because there's always been people like you, and there's always been people like us. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to elevate the masses. We're trying to help as many people as we can. We're not just worried about ourselves and our family and our little small little clique. We're trying to rise up as many people as possible. So if you have that spirit, you have the attitude, you want to help as many people as possible, then BBL is your organization. If not, keep it pushing. Keep it pushing.
All right.
You know, that's my. So you heard it now. It's on the internet. It's there. So
Okay.
that now you know how I feel. The BBL founder feels about folk that are in BBL.
All right.
If that's your spirit, just keep it pushing.
Okay. Well, um, as I said, I've been there, done that, and uh, there is an avenue for you. There is an avenue for you to get the money you need. I mean,
Yes.
you don't. I mean, if you don't want to do it, it's not for everybody. Okay. If you don't want to do it, we're not forcing you to take them. I'm not begging you right after with a stick to take this money. What we're saying here, if you dedicated, want to work hard, money should not be the stumbling block or the hurdle that stops you. If you don't want, if you want to work at a business yourself and don't want to take that risk, that's fine. But if you are looking at, well, this company not doing that well, they're cutting back. I might get laid off in 3 or 4 months, and I don't have nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe I do need to move, or at least start a side job or something like that. And it's your decision. But all I'm saying is that if you want the money, we have an avenue to get you the money. If you don't qualify, we can work with you to get you qualified, and that's the best we can do in that situation.
All right, Mr. Ron. Well, hey guys, for those of you who caught this live or who are watching on the replay, I want you to know that we've got some announcements. We've got a brand new portal that's coming for you to go and apply for the funds. That's going to be coming out. We've got a slightly different format for the show that's going to be coming up. That's going to be kind of new and improved, and we're going to be going out in the community and talking to folks and getting their perspectives on what's going on right now, and especially in terms of blacks in business. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to be trying to bring in as much information about credit and wealth creation as possible into the show. And if you want to be a part of that, if you care about the condition of black folks and more than just talking about it, but you actually want to do something about it, join us. Join us. You know, this is your opportunity to get with some like-minded people who really care and who are before they leave this big rock, they're trying to actually make an impact with those who need it the most. Because sometimes you got to help people they don't even know they need help. Um, Sometimes they might try to reject your help, but they still need your help, right? So if you have that type of spirit, you want to help the black business community, come on, let's go. Because they need our help. They're going to fail. I mean, the statistics tell us that they're going to start businesses, they're going to feel empowered, they're going to quit their jobs, they're going to go out there, and they're not going to have all the skills they need. They're not going to have all the resources that they need, and they're going to fail. And then the family members who didn't have the guts to do what they did, they'll just laugh at them and say, "See, I told you shouldn't have tried that. You should have kept your job.
Mhm.
See, you should have played it safe." Right? But we don't think that way. We don't want them to be discouraged. We want them to be encouraged. And we need an organization that's created specifically to support those black folks who are out there trying to do it and they just don't have everything that they need, right? That's what we're all about. So again, thank you for watching, and drop me an email. It's swicks@blackbusinesslist.com. if you want to join us in any way, help us out in this effort, because I'm getting ready to move. I've just had a friend who just recently passed away. And, life is not promised. We don't know how long we're going to be here. And if you have a calling, if you feel like you have a purpose to help, and you've been kind of sitting on the fence, now it's time to just really go for it. Take a chance, put yourself out there, volunteer. Mr. Ron volunteers himself every week, comes on the show. He doesn't have to do that. He could just put out Google ads, Facebook ads, or whatever, but he makes himself available to answer any questions that people may have. In his vast experience and his knowledge, there's he could, like he said, he could just be going after millionaires, or folk who are thousandaires and who are trying to get more money, but he's actually trying to help folks level up. And so, if you have that same spirit, join us, right? Let's just create an army, a BBL army of those of us who are doers, who support each other. That's what it's all about, right? We need people like that in the world. It's time out for people feeling alone, struggling. I've talked to entrepreneurs over this country who feel that way. They're struggling. They made some bad decisions. Now they got debt. They don't know how to get out of debt. They can't get new loans. They got to close their business. Invoices are due. Rent is due. Nah. Doesn't have to be that way, guys. We're here and we can support people like that, right? Help them make better decisions and help them get out of where the circumstance they find themselves in. So that's enough. Off the soapbox. I'm getting down now off the soapbox.
Okay. All right. We'll be here next week, God willing.
God willing.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next week. And it's going to be new and improved. And we are coming out with those changes. Look for that. And again, if you need funding, if you know somebody needs funding, if you know somebody who needs credit repair, credit education, I should say, because there's a difference. If you need somebody who needs credit education, put them in a good financial standing, let us know. Drop us a line so that we can plug them in, because we're going to have programs rolling. And we're going out to the streets with the program. We're not waiting for people to come to us. We're going to them. And so we're going to make a big difference out there, God willing. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ron.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. All right. Thanks for watching.